Hi, I'm Elena Parham, and this semester for my service project, I helped to rebuild a home for low-income families. So what this consisted of was we revamped a deteriorating and damaged home for a family in need. It was a complete and total remodel on the inside of the home. We repaired damages left by previous tenants. We removed and replaced sheetrock, and then we ended up having to repair and replace the flooring. And then in this slide here, you can see the work that was done. This was actually probably the main challenge, because when we initially started the project, we thought that we would only have to replace the flooring in the small area. As you can see in the before picture, there's an area without tile. We thought that that's what we were going to have to replace. When we were there one day painting, we noticed that there was an uneven balance of the floor. So we ended up calling our contractor to come in and take a look at it. This contractor, upon further inspection, determined that the floor was rotting in parts of the kitchen, living room, and the bathroom. So we ended up having to completely rip up the flooring and put down a base for it. And then the after is the pre-carpet installation. So who did I communicate with this semester throughout this project? Bob Rochelle is the property owner. He's a local veteran who purchases homes that need a little bit of TLC to remodel them for low-income families. Next was Bill Rochelle, the contractor. He oversaw the removal of damage and the flooring and repair, helping to make sure it was up to code. He helped to let us know what needed to be repaired. He also established a timeline after each step of the repair and the remodel. And then he helped to ensure that everything was completed and up to code. Bob Rochelle was the owner, and so I also contacted him about the budget for the remodel, which was to be under $4,000, and the rent per month, since it was for a low income family, we determined that it should be $250 per month, which would be a loss to the owner but would fulfill his goals of helping him help a family in need. Next was the construction department at Lowe's. It was my job to meet with the sales representative to go over various materials, appliances, and supplies that would be needed to complete the repair. We ended up replacing a few of the appliances, and so they gave me a total cost of that. We viewed different floorings and discussed the issue at hand of the rotting of the floor and what would be best. Once I got this information, I met with the contractor and the owner to go over and relay that information. And then we kind of discussed what would be durable and cost effective as far as if a repair was needed. And then I relayed that back to the Lowe's department. Then we also discussed paint colors and coordinating with different paint products that we would need. And we established an appointment for the subcontractor of Lowe's to come in and take measurements for the carpeting. And then our last meeting was to finalize the sale products of everything chosen and the cost of that. Who I met with next would be the city of Pineville. They are in charge of the water. The home is in the city limits of Pineville. So I met with them, and they gave me an average approximate that it would be about $40 per month for the water. And then for the electricity, I met with Clico to discuss utilities, and they gave me an average approximate of about $150. These two prices could vary depending on how much water and utilities you use per month. And then the M&M Sanitation was who I met with to discuss the garbage and the removal of that, and it was $25 per month for them to pick up the trash. We discussed with the housing authority their specifications so that we could make sure that the low-income family could apply for aid if needed, and the contractor helped with that as well. So we were making sure everything was up to code as well as in the specifications for the housing authority. And then I also met with local coffee shops to ask permission to hang flyers in their establishment for our open house and to promote that we were renting this home for low-income families. A few families that had questions, we'd meet there if they needed anything or if they had questions about anything prior to the open house. So who's who? So first we have Bob Rochelle, the owner, and then we have Bill Rochelle, the contractor. These were pretty much my main people who I communicated with throughout the project. Obviously, I did communicate with the construction department at Lowe's and met with the sales representative, but the main people were these two. This is a picture of the owner, Bob Raschel. This was a flyer that I constructed and hung up at Tamping Grind and Hidden Grounds. So it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home on an acre of land. And then it was for potential candidates have to qualify for low income. So as you can see here, we have the rent, utilities, and water that was discussed. It is in the city limits of Pineville, so that was a great selling aspect for those that wanted to be within those school districts. Just talked about a little bit of the complete remodel. And then we also have the open house date, which was November 18th from 1 to 3 p.m. And then my number listed for questions. So what's the correlation between this project and the healthcare field? You really want to have effective and clear communication in the workplace. That's a huge factor, especially working at a hospital or working with patients. You want to make sure that you're communicating in every aspect, whether that be with the doctor, the nurses, the radiologist, whoever you are in charge of communicating with. You want to make sure that you communicate with them in a clear and effective way, so that way you don't have any miscommunications. When you have patients' lives in your hands, you really want to make sure that that is what you're doing. So communication is extremely important, really in all aspects of life. You want to be a good communicator for various reasons, and you want to make sure that you can communicate in the best possible way. So good versus bad communication. You want to make sure that you're not lashing out at someone when they do something wrong or they make a mistake, or you're having a bad day. You really want to work on good communication, especially in the hospital, because you could turn a bad situation into a teaching moment instead of just yelling at someone or really knocking them down. You can say, this is why you should have done this, or this would be a reason if you did it the wrong way. This is what could happen, like a potential risk. So good communication is always best, because people are more receptive if you communicate in a better manner versus if you're lashing out at someone. And this is extremely important in the hospital, where there's a need for better communication amongst hospital staff. You have to contact, different people for various exams. If you're using like barium or something like that in an exam with a patient, you want to make sure that you communicate with the doctors, the nurses, the radiologists, that there's no contraindications, and that the medications, if the patient's taking any, aren't going to have a reaction with contrast, or that if they have had a reaction with contrast, that's communicated so that you can better prepare for your part in helping that patient. Let's see. So the things that I took away from the service project, I definitely think that I can work on, how important communication is. This project really made me aware of the communication that we do within the hospital or within the workplace setting in general, and how important that is. This experience made me feel a little scared at first, just because I felt like I took on a little bit more than I could chew. But thanks to Bob and Bill, they definitely made me feel like comfortable and confident with what I was doing. And that I was doing a good job, and I was doing a job that needed to be done. Like, they valued the service that I was providing. I was proud at the end of it that we had done this, and I was super thankful because it made me definitely appreciate the things that I have. As far as my expectations, I think they were met. I definitely didn't have any preconceived stereotypes, but I was just really scared that I wasn't going to be able to do the project, or that I had taken on more than I could do, and that I was just kind of scared of how it was going to play out. But luckily, Bob and Bill, like I said, they reassured me a lot, and definitely exceeded my expectations as far as, like, if I made a mistake, it was something that could be fixed, like it wasn't the end of the world. So they definitely made me feel better and let me know it was okay to make mistakes. I definitely felt fulfilled, because at the end of it was nice to see a family that got the home that really needed it, and how excited they were. And also all the hard work that we had put in had definitely paid off. I definitely enjoyed my service provided. I thought that in the end, it really made me happy that I did this. And I really think that it was a good opportunity. I can see the need for communication and why it's so essential. So I think that this project really helped, like, correlate communication in the workplace or in the hospital with just everyday life. I mean, you have to communicate all the time. So I definitely felt super fulfilled and happy at the end of this that it turned out so good. This is the end of my slideshow. So thank you for listening, and I hope that you guys learned something as well.